Hi all, my name is Malika and today we are having Arkadiy Baltser. Arkadiy is an experienced founder of Web3 and AI projects, advisor, speaker, and organizer of Web3 events. Thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Malika. Anytime. Happy to be here. Hey, everyone.
Arkadiy, how did you first become interested in crypto?
2017, the usual story. 2017, the first ICO boom. Really, what kind of drove me to it is just the abundance of dApps, decentralized applications that kind of appeared with the ICO boom. And that literally opened my eyes. If before I looked at crypto as something, on the fringes, something questionable, something you should be very careful with, something shady, and specifically financial, very financial and shady. I realized that the actual opportunity behind this incredible blockchain technology is phenomenal and it's huge. And yeah, so the first dApps opened my eyes onto the world of Web3.
And what exactly is Web3 and how does it differ from the previous iterations of the internet?
This is probably the best question to ask me because I've spent countless hours thinking about this exact question because with Plutoview, one of my startups, we've actually ventured into the world of branding and Web3 and spent a bunch of time trying to answer this exact question. And I think that it's like, in two words, it's community takeover. It goes way beyond the blockchain and crypto sphere and actually spans into user retention and customer retention and churn rates and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest drive factor. Brands suddenly woke up to the idea that customer is much more than just a single time buying entity, right? Somebody who comes into your store, buys a pair of pants once and leaves the store. Customer is actually a pillar of your future success. Your community is ultimately what generates your revenue, what generates hype, and so on and so on and so on. And with this understanding, again, led by giants like Starbucks, Adidas, Nike, all the biggest tier one brands venturing into Web3, NFTs, and crypto, is literally driven by that idea. We need to do something about our loyalty programs. We need to do something about our user retention, right? About our customer retention, because it's, I think, 5 times more costly to attract new customers than it is to retain existing ones. So customer retention is literally the biggest, that's the bottleneck of today when you have oversaturation, right, of everything. And the one who is best at customer retention game wins ultimately. And that's what Web3 does. That's what NFT does. It's user retention, loyalty, customer loyalty 2.0. That's what Web3 is for me. It's the idea that brands, offerings, products, artists are nothing without their communities, are nothing without their loyalty base.
Totally. Thank you. And can you please explain the key benefits of Web3 for business and consumers in a way that's easy to understand?
Redefined is a confusing word. Should not use that. Loyalty programs simplified, actually. Loyalty programs expanded. That's the theme here. In user retention, my answer to the previous question actually answers this one pretty well. It's user retention. That's what classic, Web 2.5, Web 2.0 businesses should focus on, is the change of the game in terms of user retention and customer retention.
Thank you. And how does Web3 impact the way companies engage with their customers and build communities?
NFTs, I think, is the biggest step in redefining what ownership in the digital age is and redefining the limits of ownership, right? What is actually ownable? Is a piece of text ownable? Is an image ownable? Is my Twitter comment ownable? Is my tweet that grossed, 1 million views ownable, right? That's the question here. Once you come to a realization that content is actually ownable, your social, your digital actions are ownable and transferable, that's when it hits you that everything you do as a customer of a brand, as a loyalty member of a brand, can bring a certain value, can be owned and transferred. That's why Starbucks, who leads the way, launched Odyssey almost a year ago. Literally, it feels like it was yesterday. Like everybody talking about the Odyssey launch, it was almost a year ago, maybe even more than a year ago. Crazy. But the reason is that Starbucks is a bit more than just a coffee shop, right? Starbucks is actually a bank. They have, I believe, $1.5 billion in loyalty credits inside their loyalty programs. It'd be like people using Starbucks cards and Starbucks loyalty cards. What they figured out is that to truly unlock this potential, they need to start interacting with this community, this millions and millions of people using, I believe it's like 20 million people, right? 20 million people using Starbucks rewards to unlock the further potential to make sure they continue purchasing and spending more money and spending more and more and more money. A new level of interaction should be put in place. And they launched Odyssey, which is actually a game, a community-driven, engagement-driven, in many ways a co-playable game, which you could actually interact with other players, get NFTs as achievements, own POAPs as achievements. Basically, we are gamifying what it means to relate to a product. And the end goal is turning your customer into your, hype manager. There's actually like a term for it, right? Somebody who's drives the hype, right? That's where you want your every customer to get. And in order for your every customer to get, they need to kind of go through this gamified journey of growing closer to the brand. And Starbucks have outlined that direction. And now we see companies like Adidas, Tiffany, and so on, Netflix to an extent, eBay has been really doing this. Reddit is doing some crazy things with NFTs, kind of following this direction. Arkadiy Baltser, who I had a pleasure of working to an extent with, are doing phenomenal things in this space with Planis, an NFT, first travel-focused NFT program. Incredible stuff. It's really about unlocking that potential, making sure your customers spend more money frequently, and bring more customers on board. That's what Web3 is for big brands. And unfortunately, there's no internet without the money that these big brands bring.
Thank you, Arkadiy. Yeah, very interesting. And what role do blockchain and cryptocurrency play in the Web3 ecosystem? And why are they important?
There's no Web3 without blockchain. It's decentralized applications all the way through. It's decentralized ownership and decentralized voting and so on all the way through. There's no Web3 without blockchain. There's no NFTs without blockchain. There's no transferable rights without the blockchain, right? So it's, for me, in many ways, they're a synonym, right? It's basically the same thing in this regard. There's no Web3 without blockchain. Think of it as a chicken and egg thing, right? It's a difficult question. What comes first, chicken and egg? In this case, there's no Web3 without blockchain. But there's no further developments in blockchain without the money that major corporations are putting in. And the money that major corporations are directing is mostly due to the Web3 revolution.
Arkadiy, how do you differentiate between genuine Web3 innovations and projects that might be riding the hype but lack substance?
Like utility, but I feel cringy using utility as an answer because it's just such an overused word in the space, because ultimately, what is utility? But I think it's utility. It's how thoughtful your utility is, right? Because let's think of Web3 projects as NFT projects, just to be very simple and very basic, but that might make more sense to the listener, right? Let's think just about NFT projects, monkeys, dolphins, zombies, whatever, right? The utility is driven by your community, but it's also driven by the backlog, or by the structure backlog, by your roadmap, by where you want to get. So for me, it's pretty easy to take a look at a project and see if it's just a couple of people trying to get some crazy financial benefit out of this, basically sell out and then dump and pump and dump and go, right? The usual story. rug everyone and bounce, than looking at a project that is serious. For me, Twitter is the ultimate platform of validating projects. And the way I do it is I basically see who follows the projects. Simply like being in a Web3 space for many years, you get to know people. And once I see that people that I respect, people that I trust follow a project, that's a reason for me to dig deeper. If it's a project there's a lot of words, there's a lot of there's a big following on Twitter, which is most projects, right? You have like 10,000 followers, 50,000 followers. But then you look and you see that actually nobody really follows them. Like they're followed by a bunch of people, but the people in the Web3 space, the decision makers in the Web3 space, the influencers are not there. They're not paying attention to it. It's probably a bump and dump. So it's a Web3 is a space. It's like a hub ecosystem, a community-driven ecosystem all the way through. So pretty easy to see pump and dump schemes based on the community activity once you actually know who to trust and who's a decision maker, who's there just for money, who's actually trying to build a better future. Yeah, I think that I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe could you please name a top 3 criteria for the project to you to invest in? You already mentioned community. What else? What else is important?
Community, utility, team. But team comes first always. I want to see the team behind the project. I want to see what they do. I want to see why they're building this. Because with stuff like Web3, we're very decentralized and private, right? But we're also super public. We're building in public. Everything we're doing is in public. We may be hiding behind an NFT of a punk or behind like a crazy nickname or something, but everything we do usually is public. So team comes first always. It's team, utility, and community. And obviously technology, right? Technology, but I'm that kind of a person who pays attention to the sales part of thing, the community part of thing more than technology. If I see that community is in place and the team is in place, but technology is not exactly there, that's fixable. Technology is fixable. If you have technology there, but you don't have everything else, I would most likely not invest, just because it's easier to onboard technology into a project. It's much more difficult to onboard soft skills and everything that comes with that.
Interesting, thank you. And what are some common misunderstandings about crypto?
That it's for crypto bros. The best people I know in crypto are actually ladies. Like the coolest people I know in crypto are ladies. Sorry guys, but like crypto is not for crypto bros. Crypto is for so many different types of people, industries, markets. It's freaking crazy, and people do not like have a clue of what actually is going on behind the scenes. There are incredible projects that are grossing and actually like they're valued at millions and millions of dollars, doing incredible things in the humanitarian side of things, kind of offsetting carbon emissions through NFTs, helping charity projects through NFTs and blockchain and crypto donations. There's incredible stuff being done on basically all levels, and the majority of people concentrate on crypto bros, and that's kind of sad that still the image is not there, right? The PR is not there. There's no bad PR, but PR is pretty bad right now. That really annoys me because I love this industry. It's changing the world. It's leading industries into the new future, into a better future, a more promising future, a fairer future, a cleaner future, a more sustainable future. I can go on for a long time, but yet what's on the surface is pump and dump schemes, crypto bros, crypto chatter, and so on and so on.
Yeah, and what should we do to change the situation?
Well, we should talk more about incredible people on building incredible projects. That's it. And we should try to kind of differentiate the set apart two things, right? The people who are here for their short term for the Pepe's of this world, although Pepe is an incredible community, an incredible example. Probably not fair to use Pepe as an example. I'm actually a member of Pepe community, but like the differentiating between people who are here for the short term, for the financial immediate goals, and people who are actually passionate about technology that is bettering the future. And I think that should be more adopted into masses on many different layers. We should start talking about it more publicly. We should start bringing crypto NFT projects, Web3 projects into major conferences, right? There's like a list of 10 big NFT Web3 based conferences that are actually grossing a bunch of people. A bunch of people are visiting them, great people, but it's still a very closed in on itself industry. A very vibrant and diverse industry, but yet still very closed on itself. And that needs to change. It needs to be more open from the inside. We need to be less stuck up, because the same people that I like praising and saying they're incredible, they're building beautiful things, many of them are really stuck up about the how amazing and how special the Web3 space is, and their ability to notice this amazing, this amazingness, right? I think we should be less stuck up and more open to onboarding new people into the space. And when we're onboarding new people into the space, let's talk about cool stuff like carbon offsetting, like building sustainable cities that are powered by crypto, stuff like that. Not pump and dump schemes that can make you $1 million, because they don't usually make you $1 million.
Totally. Thank you so much. Yes, it looks like you really love crypto and the industry. And what excites you more about the future of Web3 technology?
There's so many different aspects that excite me a lot, but as you could probably tell from my speech so far, it's not going to be a lie, it's actually true. What excites me the most is sustainability and everything that has to do with green cities, green living, green urbanization. I think that's the next big thing because of accountability. And that's like a stone towards blockchain rather than Web3, because this is where this accountability comes from. Like sustainability. I mean, let's talk about cannabis projects, right? There's a bunch of different cannabis projects, super like an industry that has a lot of legal obligations. There's a lot of limitations and so on and so on. But what blockchain does, it adds that, transparent, visible layer of accountability. And now we see major cannabis players, companies adopting blockchain into the way they operate, just because it's better for accountability purposes. It's easier to like basically pursue legal obligations with that in place. Same goes for sustainability. When you have Coca-Cola telling everyone that, hey, yearly we offset this amount of carbon emissions that we produce. It's just words, guys. I don't know if you offset this amount of carbon. I mean, it's just like a number on a paper in your report. What I want to see is an open source blockchain protocol where I could actually see how much carbon you guys fucking offsetted. And I can see it live. I can see change live and so on and so on. That's what I want to see in the future.
And Arkadiy, what challenges do you face when working with Web3 projects as an advisor, for example?
The challenges I face. So most of what I do right now has to do with fundraising. So my challenges are pretty boring. It has to do with helping startups build up pitch decks and stuff like that. So nothing unusual, like really same stuff as you see like with usual startup world. But pitching in Web3 space, pitching to Web3 focused investors is a special thing. And that attitude that I'm seeing from many founders, because most of founders that I'm working with are actually like me. We came into Web3 space after we were building all this other stuff, and we're used to the norms, and it's slightly different, especially now with the market not being in the best place. Crypto market, general market, everything in general not being in the best place. It's pretty difficult to raise. So that's the most interesting. That's why I'm just joined, right? Stanford Web3 and AI research lab, because I think that's the biggest bottleneck in the VC space, Web3 VC space, is access to a wider range of investors, access to a wider range of opportunities, because it's so limited to our own bubble, right? It's like if you're a project, you want to get into on deck, or some other variation of on deck, a prestigious like Web3 focused accelerator. What about everything else, right? What about all the other stuff? So I think it's very important to, again, and like a couple of questions right ago, it's merging Web2 and Web3, right? Web3 is a cool thing, but I kind of like Web 2.5 more because it makes a little bit more sense to me, right? Web 2.5 is the kind of in between the Web 2 and Web 3, like the Adidases of this world entering the space. Let's take it step by step, because that's how we move forward.
Thank you. And what do you think? What are the most common mistakes you see young projects do?
Focus on tech, not focus on your community. Guys, you're in the Web3 space. Community matters. That's what matters. Focus on community, then build tech. Assemble your first 100 community members, then write your first line of code, guys. Do that. First 100 community members that are passionate about what you're building, that are willing to participate, that are going to be talking to you. Build in public and then write your first line of code, right? That's my biggest advice. You will win. That's when you win.
Totally agree. And Arkadiy, when will the market go up?
Oh, good question. I wish I knew. So I will refrain from any predictions. Not my thing. Not a big predictor. Not a big prediction guy. I hope soon. But aren't we all hoping for the best? But hoping is one thing. Let's start doing something for it to go up. Let's get going, guys.
Yeah, hope so. And what resources or tools do you rely on to stay informed about the crypto market and the Web3 news, etc.?
Twitter. Like a year ago, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Twitter. I'm sorry, X. Twitter/X. Whatever you prefer.
Yeah. And in your opinion, what is the biggest risk for the ecosystem in the next few years?
Whoa, there's actually a bunch of them. I think the biggest one has to do with legislature, with everything that has to do with on the legal side of things. I think it's the unevenness of the unevenness of adoption that we see in Europe compared to United States, Europe compared to Asia. I think there's going to be a bunch of problems that have to do with that, because if we want to get people interested, get people onboarded on a wider scale, the legislation, that legal aspect has to be nailed. What I think is super annoying is the kind of this, again, a vision of everybody in this space as crypto bros, right? No, they're not. Most people don't even know how to create their fucking MetaMask wallet. So it's so important to understand that most people who want to participate are not savvy users. We need to be more open to that. We need to adopt them, because these are the people who are going to be spending money, making money. We need to make sure they see this is the new internet. This is the new, right, kind of, yeah, you get me.
Yeah, totally got you. And my last question is, what advice do you have for someone new to the world of Web3?
If you are on Twitter, don't click on random links. If you get message, don't click on random links, guys. I know we all think it's obvious. It happened to me a couple of times, and I think I'm a pretty smart guy. So don't click on random links, guys. The best advice in Web3, if you're new, do not click on random links. Do not give your seed phrases to anyone. Do not type in your passwords, etc. in random places. Be very careful, please. You will lose your money pretty quickly, because there's a lot of people out there preying on people like you guys.
Thank you so much. Such a great advice. Thank you so much, Arkadiy. It was a pleasure talking to you, and see you here in Barcelona.
Let's go. It's my pleasure. See you soon.